Hey everyone, welcome back. It's Lucid, and I'm joined once again by Demosthenes.
Hey folks, just excited to share a bit more of this cold Rhaga playthrough with y'all.
Right, so we already covered turn 54, which is what we've got pulled up here. But I think we're gonna we didn't have, I don't think, the move orders in. So let's go through and maybe you can just kind of catch us up to speed on what's happening here, and then we can move on to 55, 56. Hopefully
Yeah,
this
so as a
episode.
reminder, we had a big battle at Zabalba. There was sort of first part one where we destroyed Zabalba's entire mobile army more or less, but like 30 something mages got away.
Right.
And then a second where we stormed the forest with our communion slaves and a couple mages. I was actually very glad that I was using a worm mage for my nature magic because he's dead, but he'll come back in 3 turns. And nature gems is really a shortage for me compared to other types. So it's really great that my
Yeah.
big nature mage will be back.
And our nature gems are really a shortage in the late game, I think, for everybody. They're one of
Yeah,
the I think they're the most valuable gem type in the late game.
I
Aside
think
from
that's
pearls.
right.
Aside from pearls. But
Yeah, I think that's right. And in this particular game, I think I have about half the nature. Just there's the randomness of what you happen to get site searching. I have like
right,
half the
right.
nature income. I have the others, so it's particularly precious. And so the main sort of strategic thing, we're regathering our army back on top of Balba. I think I have a party that I'm putting in every single one of those surrounding provinces in case he tries to break free. Because with Wailing Winds, it's just really important to control the circle around an important fight. Um,
Right.
but different sorts of things. Some are like PD dumps, some are
Yeah, this
flyers.
this one doesn't look as you're protecting, but everything
I think I
else.
give up on the cave.
uh,
And that's okay.
better to
Um,
control 4 than fail and control 3,
yeah. The other thing that's a little different from what we talked about last time is the stack of storm demons, which are some of the units that did not route and thus were sitting on the capital, are booking it. So if you click on that guy, he's all the way over there. And we're basically trying. I decided that I really needed them against Gath, who is you can actually see mobilizing against me. They've got sort of two armies that look to combine in that southern fort, and then a big stack in their capital.
Yeah, that looks exciting.
And yeah, I think we
Okay.
can move on to the next turn. I think that's the sort of high level. As a reminder, we're still fighting Patala in the northeast and sort of harassing them with all sorts of things. But yeah,
Okay.
I think we can go to the next turn and see what happens.
All right, let's do it. All right, we've got turn 55 here. And I like. I see you're casting Raven Feast a lot. I really like that. That's something that there's not a lot of nations that can make really good use of, and Rhaga is definitely one of them. So
And you
very
saw
cool.
I think that's second one was 12 death gems. I think that's from Zabalba, Zolo capital province, where we just had like 800 units die.
Oh
Um,
wow, damn! I've only seen it this high
so
if you cast like Black Death or something, but this is really high.
yeah,
Yeah, it's
yeah.
super clutch.
Yeah, so I think this is the last turn of my nap with Gath. So the fighting.
We'll go look there.
So
I'm
this is
gonna
a
go through these. We got some horrors
yeah.
coming out. This is interesting. They should
Yeah,
have
so
magic
so
scales here because this is Patala. They always go
exactly,
magic.
they've got magic skills, and they just had the stack of like 100 Bandars with no mage support. And so to see if I could snipe with horrors, the answer is that Bandars hit really hard. And
Yeah, these are really good troops. Like people, Patala gets a lot of hate. They're not amazing for expansion, and I'm not exactly sure why, but they're really good troops. Their main weakness though is this: they have dog shit art and their animals. So you
yeah,
hit this with a pin boosted beast mastery, it's over. And that's easy to
yeah,
do. Like a worm mage can do it without a communion.
yeah. It's just late, but it takes a while to get that late in the game, and
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
think it would be unwise to not take advantage of them before then.
Right, right. Yeah, no, they're
And these guys
amazing
all have like
units.
3 experience
Oh,
stars, so
look at
they're
this.
they're sort of
26
26.
damage. Yeah, on a link 2 weapon. It's pretty damn good.
And they're only like 16 gold, right?
Yeah.
It's like a you can make 100 of them and run around with them if you
Yeah.
want.
I mean, they're great siege strength value. They take buffs super well. Their only terrible weakness. I mean, one is attack density, which isn't amazing, but they hit really hard. And two is their MR. But aside from that, they're phenomenal units.
Um, So
Um,
yeah, it didn't work as well as I'd hoped, but whatever. It killed 500 gold worth of stuff, and
yeah.
it's one of these things that there's also the morale effect on the opponent. Though I will note, Patel actually went AI this turn, so
Oh,
that will mean that there's no morale effect on the opponent from here.
right. One thing I found when using Sinless Heart, it's a spell that I know you have grown to love. But it's also I've been using it a long, long time. And what I have discovered is I take sometimes you only need one cast of it, and that's fine. But what I found is that if you feel like you need 3 casts of it, you usually need 5 or 6.
Yeah. Yeah, and
So
if I could have, I probably would have.
yeah,
Well, one of the things about Cold Rhaga is that your access to the spell, if you don't use empowerment, is just a 5% random on the Arya Seraphs. So like those
right.
3 are like all 3 of my guys who can do it with boosters.
Right, 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 right.
It's still a super useful tool.
Yeah.
Even to be able to do that kind of volley, because it keeps the the opponent has to think about it, and
Yeah.
if they expose something that's vulnerable to it, you can destroy it.
Yeah. Okay, so where
But
should we
none of
focus
us
our
noticed,
attention?
but
Oh,
yeah. So Patala went up, this turn, but none of us noticed that happened. So that the game the game proceeded with nobody aware of that reality for the next like couple turns, I think.
honestly, Patala didn't seem to be doing that much. Like I don't remember
Yeah,
them having very well scripted armies. So I don't know if
that's correct. They've been playing very passively and didn't respond to anybody in Discord. So I don't know what the story is. I mean, getting busy in life is probably
yeah,
an aspect of it. And I also you may recall that I did that sneak attack on them
right.
that is probably real life
Damaging.
moralizing. So that's
Yeah.
probably why. I will say though that I think that they were sort of in one of the best positions in the game just in terms of research and sort of army size and so on a few turns ago. So it's sort of very much sad for the game state that they went AI rather than
Yeah.
letting
Though I will
somebody
say
sub
it
in.
probably does feel very bad when position one's attacking you and Atlantis, instead of helping you, decides to eat you. So
Yes.
that, but it's like, if you're not talking and doing diplomacy,
Yeah.
how
Yeah.
upset can you really get? But I would
Right.
be
Exactly. I mean,
frustrated.
I think Atlantis probably didn't even know that I'd attacked Patala when they decided to move all their troops.
Right.
When they committed to doing the attack, and they could have changed their mind. But
Yeah, a good Patala,
um,
like if I was playing Patala and this was the board state, I definitely would have been able, I feel I would have had a very good shot at convincing Atlantis to join me against Rhaga.
yeah, I agree. Especially given that we are at the point where the rest of the game is also attacking Raga because they
Right.
come out of control. Like if we go to the western border, you can see that a horde of Garmhardians has shown up on the
Oh my
on the
god.
border.
Look at that. 360. All right. Is this mage supported? Do you know? Okay, well, don't spoil it. That's what I'm wondering.
Yeah,
Please tell me this is well mage supported. If he rolls out 300 whatever Garms on turn 60 almost without at least 30 mages, I'm going to be very upset.
I will note that even if I don't actually know the map movement for Sith Kona, but I think like that citadel just to the west of it is in range of being able to. I think it might. I don't know if they've got snow move. They might not be able to do it.
No, I don't think they do. Yeah,
Uh,
but their map
16.
move is 16.
I
I
think you
just was like,
can.
they don't have snow move.
I think they could do it. I don't know. I certainly thought that they could do it, and was thinking a lot about whether I could, magic phase, kill the PD on that fortress. However, one thing to note is that I've lost a lot of scouts in Utgard territory. This Utgard player has like 25 PD everywhere or more,
Okay.
and so I was not sure that like just a few horrors were going to do it for some of these forts. You can see a lot of them that I have a scout on.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I make a bunch of attacks into Utgard with various sort of, I'd say, light, medium sort of radiant forces. That's a thug. It's a
Yeah.
vampire thug.
Yeah.
I also have a big defense on that throne that is clearly where they're going.
Right. So tell me what you're expecting, and tell me what instead of us reading through the whole script here, tell us what
Yeah,
you're
it's
expecting
long.
from them and what you're trying to do.
Yeah. So what I'm expecting from them is they have fire shock resistance, and I think maybe some more shock. Anyway, they're pretty lightning resistant, but they don't have magic weapons. So my sort of core strategy here is 2 things. One is that this is a firestorm play. So my hope is to kill certainly all their Skelly spam, and hopefully, if I could get up early enough, or if they're not thinking about it, to get their mage core with it, because unless they cast the right buffs, Sith Kona will melt pretty instantly to
But
their
there's a
storm.
lot of ways for them to prevent it. They've got elemental fortitude, which they could theoretically all cast, right? They can do, and then they have water mages in the nation where they could put up the battlefield wide one if they have the research. So
Yes, exactly. So that is sort of a thing that I am.
right.
I'll
But
I'll
you
try
want
it. See if
yeah,
it works.
give the opponent the opportunity to make the mistake.
But even if they protect all of their actual mages with it, the Sith Kona are really going to like casting a lot of Skelly spam, and the Skelly spam is
Yep.
just going to burn up right as it comes out. And
Yep.
so my hope is that that will mostly neutralize them as
Okay.
sort of a major evocation threat.
I agree with that.
And then for the Garm Hardings, I think I have a really big PD dump. You should look. 35. You know, and
moderate.
Rhaga has this really cool PD where you get 4 units per PD point up to 20, and then another 2. So anyway, this is like 200 units or something of fire-resistant chaff. So
Yeah.
it's nice. I don't yet have
Are
Army
you
of
trying
Gold
to
or
win this battle, or are you trying to soften them up?
I'm trying to win this battle.
Okay.
The other thing is I have willing win. So that's the other thing is that for how to neutralize this is kind of is that they'll be able to maybe do their early buff script. They'll make some skeletons, but the skeletons will die, and all the Sith kind of masters.
See, what I
should
worry about though is that if they get mass regen, Will of Fates, Life After Death, Growing Fury, and that's a lot of Gamherdings to kill. I don't know how you.
A lot of Garmherdings here. Yeah, so that for killing the Garmherdings themselves, I have weapons of sharpness in that army.
Okay.
And I have Fog Warriors and Will of Fates. So if, and I've just got a ton of dudes.
Oh,
I actually
that's
made a
right.
mistake.
They don't have magic weapons.
I don't have magic weapons, right? And I actually made a mistake. If you scroll through, you'll see I've got a Zayd and Flainen.
All right. Sorry about that. We're back. Right. So, yeah, he doesn't have Fog Warriors. He got Life After Death, Will of Fates. Will of Fates really good against Garms.
So the thought is Fog Warriors, Will of the Fates, that even if they clear all the Fog Warriors, right, just Will of the Fates will mean that, it takes them 4 hits to kill each, one of this Horde of Chaff. And I think I cast Growing Fury, so, that they're not going to rout. Obviously Mass Regeneration, Relief, that kind of stuff.
I think,
also Doom to curse them all.
Yeah, Doom will help. I think if he gets Will of Fates and Mass Regen off, I think he would still win. Because the thing is, okay, on one hand, you're like, oh no, we don't have magic weapons on the Garms. Here's the thing. They hit hard enough, they should be able to pretty reliably hit through Fog Warriors.
Yeah, sure, but let's think about that sort of math, right? I have a square that has 3 chaff infantry from the PD or whatever in them. Garm, is going to take 4 hits to kill one of those because of, the Fates. And there's 3 of them, so it's going to take him 12 swings, from which is all the output that square is going to produce to kill through sort of 1 square of chaff. Meanwhile, I've got like something like 20 mages doing evocations at the same time.
Okay.
But also on my side, my guys have weapons of sharpness. So every time that they take a swing at the Garm, they're going to do, real damage, even with their 13 damage, spear. So that's the plan, at least, as to how I'm planning to deal with that. So the Firestorm for the Skelly spam, Winds for the Sith Kona doing Soul Slay and stuff like that, and evocations and just a ton of weapons of sharpness chaff.
Cool.
And I did make one mistake in that script. So if you look, there's Zaydin who's flying in, Zaydin Commander, with a bunch of my magic weapons flyers from the capital. And he is on move, not move and patrol. So my Storm Staff is going to fail to show up. So that will be an interesting complication.
Yeah. That's too bad. Okay, cool. Are you expecting to get attacked by Gath this turn?
So that's the other big piece of scripting. And I, as you say, I have some raids that are going into their territory of various styles.
Mm-hmm.
And I also have a big defense planned at that southern fort. That
looks like a lot of mages.
A lot of mages.
Like I'm thinking this looks like 60 or something, right?
I think it's a bit less than that, but yeah, it's a lot of mages. It's got a Sabbath communion, so we don't have to worry about magic duel messing up the communion structure. They'll be powered by, I think most of them have Vine Ogre bodyguards. They can do Soul Vortex, so they shouldn't burn out. And the other thing, there's a bunch of PD, and the other thing is that F doesn't know that there's any troops in that province whatsoever. So turn before, there'd been like 30 guys there. This turn, there's nothing there on the scout report, because I've got 3 cauldrons of the Elven Halls there, so I moved those here. So my hope is that, the obvious move for him is to move onto that fort. It's a citadel right next to his throne.
Right.
That, he wants to stay near with that big army. And he's probably going to script his army, because he can see that I've got other stuff nearby.
Right.
But my hope is that it'll be sort of a little bit of a trap. Like it might be if he saw how much stuff I had there, he might be tempted to ping. But this is not a situation.
He might not do the full mage commitment, or maybe he doesn't do
back.
quite as sweaty of a script,
Or he doesn't send 20 magic duelers, or other things that he can do, because he does have a fort right next to it with 20 little mages inside.
Right.
And that's a blood-hunting province that I'm evacuating, because it's possible that he moves something big there.
Mm-hmm. Wise.
Sort of mess up the evacuation. I'd intended to bring the crossbows to the same place, but then I changed my mind and have the crossbows defend. So actually those blood hunters are going to move north 1 province with no chaff.
Okay.
So then I'm storming Zabalba.
Right. And the plan here is...
The plan here is weapons of sharpness and sort of strength buffs and quickening on sort of the blob at the front, which has bunch of Savaran Guard, and a bunch of Imps. And both of those things should be very,
Good on those.
with weapons of sharpness, should be very killy against
Yeah.
both the troops they have in the Pretender. And then we also, this is our first Firestorm fight against Zabalba as well. So we've
Okay.
not shown anybody Firestorm, I think, before this turn. And the hope is
Very
that
cool.
they're going to produce, they still have 40 mages in there. They're probably going to skelly spam with 40 mages, but the hope is that we'll be able to
Yep.
kill all their stuff with that.
All right, and then Patala, they're AI, but hard to tell.
Yeah, I think I didn't know that they were AI at the time,
Right.
so I think I was just planning to. I said I had a few traps, like
Yeah.
there's a PD jump west of Mictlan and another one somewhere else that have Firestorm or other things like that. But
Okay. Do we have
pushing that.
permission to go to the next turn?
yes, absolutely.
All right. All right. And we got 56 pulled up here, which is, I believe, going to be the meat and potatoes of this episode.
We are getting attacked by Gath and Utgard for the first time, and we are also storming the Zabalba capital. So,
Ooh.
pretty exciting. Yeah. So,
So
this is actually pretty interesting. So,
who's doing
this
this
was
to
actually-
you? Is this Gath?
this is Gath. Yeah. And this is actually a squad that I built. This was a trap. So it's a pretty small commitment of my stuff. You see, there's like 6 sorceresses there in the upper right. So I'm doing a communion to put up. I think Will of the Fates, Mass Regeneration,
Mm-hmm.
Firestorm, and Fog Warriors or something like that was
Yeah.
my script. And the hope is that if the enemy marches an army into, I can kill some of their chaff mages, whatever, with a fairly low commitment of my stuff. And I think that they were supposed to cast Returning and to bring all the communion slaves home. That horror, I think, kills the guy who was gonna do it, or routes him or something. So
Yeah.
it ends up being the case that my army stays in place, but it ends up being a defense that does hold against this horror cast, which is that almost fails. I think we eventually soul slay the thing or something. But it's very close. But in fact, yeah. So that we're playing with a newer version of Dominions,
Right.
and it looks
So
like
this is
with the
different
newer
RNG.
version,
Yeah.
I lose. But yeah, as you can see, I lost no mages.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's probably actually, we saw that in this version of it, the Firestorm caster gets yeeted
Yeah.
by the horror, and I think the Firestorm is what killed the Mind Slime horror,
Right.
the stronger horror that came.
So yeah, this was actually 5 casts of lesser horror.
Yes.
So that
5 casts.
it's kind of critical mass there.
And that's the thing, Gath's cap only Kohen Gadol can do pretty
Right.
effectively. And then this was my doing a horror cast to lock 8th Fort.
Okay.
It's up there for movements.
So this is a magic phase attack by Gath. They have a golem.
Indeed.
Dual frost brands. Now the reason you see brands on golems so much is because they have horrible attack and defense. So I almost never hit anything with the direct thing. Oh man.
Yeah, and this is one of my blood hunting provinces. I think the one that had the site that makes 3 Fiends of Darkness.
It's not
And
looking
I
good
got
for
a
the
few Storm
golem.
Demons here.
Looks like this was a FedEx gear delivery.
Yeah, exactly. So their problem was that there were 3 Storm Demons or something, 4 Storm Demons there.
Oh, is that what
he had
killed him?
just-
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you got the kill. All right. Should have
yeah,
renamed the golem to Amazon or something.
I mean, this is, but I think this is sort of one of the things where, because I'd been blood hunting our entire border all game, I think he made that attack without the benefit of scouting.
Right.
So this is, I scouted a province where he had 4 of these mages. I don't know why, but in any case, they were exposed. So I did a
That's one of the reasons
Wolves and
I
Blitz
don't
cast to kill them.
I really try to avoid doing stuff like this because this is basically using a super combatant tier unit. Golems are in my estimation low tier super combatants.
Absolutely.
And that they're going to be fully kitted almost every time you use them. They're going to represent 70 something gem, 50 plus gems at least, right?
Yep.
I don't want to send them in hardly ever without knowing exactly what they're going to be going up against.
I agree.
Yeah.
I would have just held it in reserve. If
Because he would definitely be able to find something you threw out there that he could hit with this later that would work.
absolutely.
Okay, which of these battles should we watch first?
Honestly, the rating in this war is really cool. I would just go in order.
Okay.
So that's on the Zabalba capital. The problem with water bottle assassins against devils is, you can probably guess what's going to happen.
Yep.
I'll land. Doop. And then
That's weird. He came
buddies
back.
didn't-
Normally these guys freeze, and they'll
Yeah,
still hit
normally
you.
They freeze.
They'll still hit you if you're standing next to them, but they normally don't move.
I think it's like they get up until the round ticks or something to move, and then if they're in melee,
Yeah.
they'll fight. And it
Right.
happened to be that he made it. That's fine.
Okay. It's not a bad trade. Oh,
Okay, yeah. So this is a raiding party that I just flew in. So he has Malik counter
yeah.
thug, and along with it, this immortal
You don't.
with
What are
both
they
with water
called?
bottles.
Oh, the Kinslayer. Okay.
He's an immortal road that Gath gets.
Oh, nice. Do they have shock
and,
resistance?
I don't know.
This guy does. Well, just built in
I
5.
think maybe a little on the chassis
Yeah.
or something. Yeah. But I also have a bunch of frost fiends.
It looks like there's a lifelong protection or something.
Yeah, I think I've got one lifelong protection here. It's definitely the commanders here are like the way that I'm commanding these demons is with amulets of the dead, so I have a little bit of skelly salmon. I think one of them has a lifelong protection, which is like I think one of the only 2 that I made this so far this game. But I think that the frost fiends are the main killing power of this little squad that I have. In Fold 3 they have really good stats.
Yeah, they do. What's their protection?
This one, their protection is abysmal, but they don't have
they really
there,
good
but
defense,
20 defense.
Wow, this guy's taking a while to die. Damn. All plus invulnerability plus,
Yeah. He definitely needs the magic weapons on him.
Yeah. All right.
Originally it's just imp.
So he runs, but you kill the immortal and steal a bottle of living water. Pretty good.
So this is the sort of little raiding squad I had, and it's intercepted by 5 givers. So my plan here is I've got some flaming, I was sort of expecting something lower commitment from them, maybe some Levite zealots, because they have a very stats heavy bless.
Right. If you don't
and
get
I also
the
have one of my...
this is the... Oh, we have one of these guys. He got fluffed up.
Yeah, he got fluffed up, but not to deal with givers.
Right.
It's like body ethereal and some repel, So this does not work at all for me.
Yeah.
Eventually run, but
Okay. Yoink.
So
good budget defense from Gath.
Yeah, good budget defense, exactly. And that's in a province without a fort, so I think I end up responding to that with a.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
Okay, but there's no mages.
There's no mages, yeah.
What the fuck?
They've got a prophet, so.
This is a Hellbless, too. He should have been playing these guys really aggressively. And
I
seems
agree.
to have been really passive.
It's really passive. I think he had a sort of thematic, like he wanted to bring back, the Nephil Giants view, and actually was extremely sad because he discovered late in the game that, after putting up Illwinter, you can't actually get Nephil Jarls as Utgard, which has been sort of his motivation for wanting to pick the nation.
Yeah, it's with Veni you get him, not with Utgard.
Yeah, exactly. You can sort of see the core strategy, more or less working. That line of chaff is not really disappearing despite being engaged by a bunch of Garmhardings.
Yeah, but I mean,
they're not
real, okay? There's nothing cast on these guys. This is like
nothing cast on these guys.
And they're starving.
This is just blessing.
Right, like,
and they're starving.
I mean, this is aside from the fact that it's enormous. It's basically like a turn 20 army.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but you can see that it's also not very easy for me to kill these Garmhardings.
There's a lot of problems here. So he scripted this wrong too. Like, what you want to do if you have this many is you want them in a very long line, and you want to attack rear for the first line, and then maybe like the next line you can have on attack closest, and then maybe the next line on attack rear. Because all these guys, Garms especially, they don't have really great protection. So, like, look at these Blade Winds. That's a lot of damage.
Yeah, the Blade Winds are killing them, yeah.
So, you don't want them like this. What you want them to do, like, Garms are especially bad. They're, like, ethically bad at getting stuck behind other Garms. You want them to, run back here. You want as long of a line as possible, and you want them swinging their axe. Because when they're not swinging their axe, they're catching arrows and evocations like a freaking champ.
And if you look at my formation, because of the mistake I'd made, I think one of my flanks is completely unprotected because those troops who went inside the fort were what was supposed to block it. Like they could have.
Yeah, they could have gotten through on this side easily.
Nothing there, you know. Yeah.
And these flyers weren't here earlier. They've jumped in now that they ran out of arrows. But this whole thing was open right here.
Yeah. So, I mean, think, if they had a full buff suite, it would have been interesting. Now, it ends up actually killing a bunch of my mages due to my communion burning out, which
Yeah.
I think effectively also caused by Storm not being up. Because, it's very, very important in your
Yeah.
fatigue for a Arya Seraph communion of. But yeah, this is very much like a new player sort of
Army,
army.
yeah. And I mean, it's
this
kind of
is-
cool because we can see you like prepared for him to do things better than what he did, right? Like you were prepared for the Skelly spam communion. He didn't do that, but
Yeah.
if he did, you would have been ready.
I mean, I think it's a good demonstration of what Cold Rhaga can do.
Right.
That the outcome of the battle is sort of determined by he didn't bring any mages,
Right.
in some sense.
Right. But yeah, no, this was, I think, really good. And also, like this was not a time for mass flight, right? This was an area where you wanted limited surface area and you wanted to just pepper him with evocations and stuff while it took him a while to chew through your Will of Fates dudes. Also, this brings up if you think you're going, like if you're Utgard and you're going into somebody where you think they're going to cast Firestorm, which you've already cast this game. So if they were like communicating
this
very
is
well.
the first turn. The
This
first
is-
turn I cast Firestorm.
Oh, I thought you cast it in Zabalda already. No?
Oh no! Remember, we intended to, but I ended up doing Heat from Hell instead, and
okay.
it had tragic consequences for me.
Right.
Avoided some friendly fire. Like I don't think I could have protected my storm demons from
Gotcha.
from it very well. So that was why I didn't do it. But,
Okay. But okay, if he was
but
expecting,
it's evocation 7.
Right.
Like I've revealed multiple 8s. Like it is definitely a thing you should expect.
Right.
At this stage of the game.
if you're expecting one thing you can look to do, because like you said, when you're doing Skelly spam, it doesn't work into Firestorm. So, but you also don't want these guys 1 per square. You can look at packing other units in the same tile as them, like even just getting Long Dead, like having a pile of Long Dead that you can buff with fire resistance to go in behind them.
Mm-hmm.
Or like Ghosts are like the top end. They're really good to throw in there because that gives you like the Fear Aura, or it could be Ghosts mixed with other things like Whites are really good.
Or even the Winter Wolves that he he has a pretender that free spawns Winter Wolves. We'll see the party.
Right.
He's running around with like 40 of them, but they would have chopped up all the Fog Warriors pretty quick.
Yeah. And that, that's a great, if you don't go this magic weapons bless on Utgard, getting something with magic weapons like the Winter Wolves or like the Whites also have it. Anything with magic weapons that you can buff with fire resistance to run in with them is going to make a huge difference on the front line.
Absolutely.
But very cool battle. All right. So that was, which one? That was this one. You lose some communion slaves and you lose a bit of, I hesitate to call it chaff, but they weren't nothing you cared about.
I mean, the turn infantries are basically chaff. Like if they're my recruit anywhere,
right?
Blockers basically.
And
but one of the things that
minus 220 garbs. Whoops.
Yeah. At least his upkeep situation is going to be better after that.
That's right. You've done him a favor. He's been getting a big upkeep problem all game, and he just had a reset. So.
But I think actually just looking at that battle report once more and just scroll down to the PD section, you can see that actually the PD did a lot in terms of absorbing casualties that would have otherwise been there. And I think it is one of the strengths of Cold Rhaga that you have this very numerous fire resistant PD that you can sort of combine with the magic access that you have.
Yeah, absolutely. And I didn't really notice how much of it they got. This is a ton of PD for 35. Is this really only 35?
Yeah, it's 35. You get 2 of the militia type ones and 2 of the basic ones for each point of PD.
God, that is a lot.
Then the higher ones you get two more troops.
Yeah.
It's like PD dumps are real good on this nation.
That's a scout ping. Let's go just beneath it. So Gath is riding out, but this wasn't everything. He had like a big stack of crossbows and other things too, right?
Those arrived 1 province south of here. So this is I think cutting off my retreat. He's attacking the fort just north of the one where the rest of his army is going. So putting your armies next to each other in general, I like as a strategy. Because then you can trade mages between them or support each other.
All right, so he's got this. He had a magic phase attack here. Oh no, this is a normal phase.
The last one is a scout patrolled out. Okay. So yeah, this is the big Gath army.
All right. Now let's take a look at their bless, because if the viewers are like me, they have forgotten it. They don't have magic weapons. Fine for Gibbers, who have magic weapon swords, but not fine for Sayer.
Yep.
And he's got crossbows.
Got Aerofend up
He's
already.
only got, it looks like, about 7 or 8 mages total here.
Yeah, but they're really geared. They're geared mages. Like he does get, weapons of sharpness, a bunch of stuff like that off.
Yeah,
I think the
we'll
Griffin
watch.
Goodalls, he has an F5.
Right. I mean, enough mages to do the buff is like, it's really like paying
Yeah.
ante, right, to come to the table for a late game battle. If you're not getting some of the buffs, you're not doing it. But to win, you might need evocations and things like that.
Yep.
Okay.
Mass protection.
Yeah, we've got mass protection.
Team magic.
That's actually kind of risky, right? Because he hasn't put fire resistance on him yet, and you've got a lot of fire mages, and you're going to be doing firestorm.
Yeah, and we're both doing flaming arrows, though with Aerofen that's maybe not that significant.
Yeah. Firestorm,
So so this is definitely where, I think he definitely got, caught unexpected. I think this is a place where he would have really benefited from pinging, which is, I think why, the fact that I had this sort of trap where I had port looked empty,
right,
it might have been significant to his scripting, because I don't know, do you really want to marshal, 20 of your little mages, to, I don't know.
Yeah. Is this
but
PD
Firestorm
that's
is
up
just brutal.
front? Because these givers are kind of tearing through it.
The front is PD,
Yeah.
and then that southern flank that they're getting into is, I think, actual troops.
Mm.
You can see that they're chopping up crossbows and so on. And you can see that, there's a lot of incinerate coming out from my community.
Right. Yeah, you can just see those deleting guys here.
Yeah.
Is your communion balance? Oh, you've got the soul vortex batteries. It looks like.
So this is actually where I've ended up using my draconians, I guess, not vine ogres. There's just a line in the back of Death.
Yeah, God, I should do that more. It's one thing I always talk about, but then it's like, it's so sweaty to do, because you have to spread them out from each other. I guess it's not that hard.
Yeah, I think the big challenge with it is really that you need to spread them out. Yeah, this is the full back line is taken up by the 8 of them. And then you also have to worry about the friendly fire issues if you have other stuff nearby.
Right.
And if you don't put anything nearby, then flyers can jump on them.
Right.
And one of the things you really don't want is your,
communion slaves all getting yoinked. Yeah. You can also make communion slaves really resistant to being killed, though. So you didn't lose any of your communion slaves for all that, did you? Not really.
Nope. I think I lost one. I think the one Duster who died was one of those. And I think also maybe, but effectively immaterial losses.
So he really didn't bring many mages, though. He brought 1, 4, and then 6, and then 9. He has 9 mages.
Yeah.
And you brought 12, 13, 29, 32, 33, 34, 38.
Yeah.
And more troops, and probably a little better technology.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, his sacreds are substantially better troops than anything that I fielded. Like all of the seers, the Levite Zealots, the Gibbers are just substantially better. But yeah,
this was mostly chaff. It was mostly 129 crossbow. Right, that was the bulk of the army.
Yep.
The Zealots,
another 40
are nice,
crossbow.
Right, but the Zealots I don't believe have magic weapons. Right, so they're basically chaff for this. And then the Seir, they didn't have fire resistance, and you had Firestorm up.
Yep.
In fact, they had fire weakness, so.
Yeah, but I think that there was probably no realistic script for his army that, in some sense, right, like I killed his stuff with Incinerate. That was going to work even, whatever buffs he cast.
No, I mean, that's not necessarily true, right? So, I mean, I think the thing is, like, maybe there's no way you could have configured this army, right?
Yeah.
But
different armies.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
sure.
It's not, he didn't bring enough mages. He wasn't doing didn't have enough research. Or,
exactly.
He didn't do the things he needed to do to win the fight, to have a shot.
Yeah. No, and maybe, he had, like a second tier of forces that was coming, and, he thought he was just moving on to a fort, that was empty. Like,
right.
It could be the psychology at play here.
Yeah. It's overconfidence is a slow and insidious killer. And if you can lure your enemy into being overconfident, you've got half your work done for you already.
And I think the other thing worth noting about this is that this does showcase one of the strengths of Cold Rhaga, which is that I took 2 fights different corners, both of which were sort of chosen by my enemies, right? They ended,
Right.
like they came to attack me with 2 turns notice, and I fielded, 40 mages on both of them. And, having all of your mages flying, or most of your mages flying,
Yeah.
and,
It's a big deal.
viewers have seen over the last 10 turns my using like 4 sets of flying boots to shuttle my shamans and magesses to the front, over the course of, just so that they're at the boundaries that my empire can be used in fights like this. It's like a lot of nations, you get suddenly, nap ended by a powerful neighbor. Like
Stuff's
you
out of
can't field,
position.
your main army there, right?
Right. Yeah, that's a great point. It's one of the things, Arco, when he plays a lot, he likes high mobility nations. Like almost all the nations he plays has like really high mobility cavalry or something like that. Not always, but a lot of times. So it's mobility is so important. And it is, like you were saying, especially for the mage corps. I think the game's over right now, right? Like what could possibly happen?
Yeah, I think it's basically over.
I see if this happened to me, I would have just said, good game, everybody. Like, do y'all want to call it? I wouldn't even bother playing the last bit out.
Yeah, I think, in part because we were doing this series, I wanted to do that because, there's some, I think it'll be,
yeah.
And like Atlantis hasn't even, been involved in any fights. So, I think it'll be.
Oh, that's true. Did they
do
turn
that,
on you right now?
Yeah. I think this turn they storm like four Patella forts to get a feel for the types of armies they've been rolling out. You can see that there's a lot of long dead horsemen, and those are the inheritance of them being the one who killed Lemuria.
Oh, nice.
Because they've just supplemented all of their armies with those, and I think that's Atlantis transformed something to Foul Vapors.
I was like, oh, this is a clutch Patala play. They're foul vaporizing Atlantis. It's not often you see Atlantis doing the foul vaporing.
Yeah.
Just like, what's going on here? I was about to throw like mad props at the AI. Okay.
23 yogis,
Yeah, that's a lot of yogis. Yeah, they stormed this one as well.
Yeah, they stormed that one as well. So I think the AI wrote out with some stuff, and that didn't have much in it.
All right, so did they turn on you this turn? Are they like, hey, let's fight, or do they want to finish off Patala?
It's either this turn or next turn that they attack me.
Okay.
I can't recall which. You can actually, I think probably it's next turn, because I think, well, they're sort of out of position to attack me fully anyway.
All right, we got the script here with Hugo. This one the other ones were really cool battles. This is the one I'm really hyped to watch, because I really am interested to see what you do with weapons of sharpness, strength of giants on these imps up front. There was
quickening got on the.
Oh, you get quickening too?
Quickening on the imps, yeah.
Ooh.
I think though that this ends up not exactly matching what happened in the real battle.
Oh, we got weapons of sharpness
on them. Yeah. So
that's
I think
all you need.
I think the Savaran Guard did not get buffed very well. I think that it ended up being that Great Eagles blob in the back drew some of the casts. See, Firestorm comes out and all the bats start disappearing. Because they put up Blood Rain.
Right.
And we both had Wailing Winds, and yeah, you can see that their Mage Corps just is already gone, whether retreated or killed.
We've got some white mages here towards the front.
You can see that we've got the Colossal Head surrounded.
Oh man, you got Will of Fates on the imps too. Your imps are dying really fast. Not that you exactly care, but
I think actually they all ran is what happened, because they're 9 morale on it. I think I did not do Growing Fury, so I think the imps ended up basically all piecing out, even though I had all the morale buffs on them. Just it's too much.
Oh no, and you don't get the weapons of sharpness on most of these Savaran.
I think there's there's like 3 guys with weapons of sharpness and 3 guys who are quickened, but I think there's none who have both of those buffs in them.
Yeah.
In the group surrounding him.
So you're just chipping away. He's doing Magma Eruption.
He's doing some Petrify, and then. So I sort of had 2 ways to win. One is I had 2 fully pen boosted shamans doing Soul Slay.
Yeah.
And in both the original and in this replay, the Soul Slay is what gets him.
Oh wow. You were totally right about
they
the
just
imps.
all ran.
They all ran. That's wild. Yeah, they have bad morale. I mean, I'll be honest, this game's opening my eyes to like potentially other strategies. Like there's several nations where I think imps are maybe one of the more like underused units. Like you could probably come up with, like, I'm thinking some of the Zabalbas can maybe make really good use of it. Like, but then you have to like start thinking how you're going to work around the imps' weaknesses. Like they have really bad morale, right? So maybe you start
And,
putting
you
them
know,
on good
possibly,
leaders,
or possibly you just do grind, you know, like
yeah,
you can, you know, turn one, you know, have 10 blood mages do summon imps and then
right,
buff them the same, you know, the same
right,
turn. And
yeah,
potentially have them just, you know, appear on demand. But I think you do want good leadership if you're using permanent imps, at least into
yeah,
Wailing Winds plus Blood Rain, you know?
yeah,
That's sort
yeah.
of the worst case scenario for
But yeah, I mean, it's just so
morale.
much attack density. Like when you get like quickened imps, you have 6 per tile. They each have 2 attacks. That's 12 attacks, and then it's doubled from quickness, so it's 24 attacks a tile. I mean, that's out of this
And you
world.
get
That's so many.
24, 13 damage armor piercing, right? It's just,
Yeah.
even if the enemy's got Fog Warriors, they'll just do 24 times 1 damage and kill you anyway. With
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
oh,
And you got a Bloodthorn for your troubles.
yeah.
All right.
Might have been my own blood form. I think I killed my own Vampire Lord or something.
Well, from my perspective, now the game's over.
Yes. So what I decided to do
Yeah,
is I believe that I am now throne rushing.
throne
Is
rushing.
sort of my
Like
plan.
making.
I mean,
Let's not call it throne rushing. Let's say
making a play for the thrones
right.
to give an honorable end to
an
the
honorable
game.
end to the game. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's much better.
You can see that
You're
I'm
not throne
you know,
rushing.
gathering a bunch of
Everybody has been castrated and neutered, and you're
Atlantis.
marching your army into the forts of the eunuchs to like finish the game.
That said, you know, I think we should do the rest of the sort of raiding battles because Gath did some really cool stuff, and I think it'll be fun to see how I deal with it. So we watched that one already. I think that one.
Oh, so this one you had taken this with horrors, but he countered by moving stuff in that would kill a scout. So
yeah, and that or even, you know, a larger commitment. And I think that is in general one of the ways to deal with sort of magic phase spam is you move from somewhere else blockers for it.
well, especially horrors, right? Like if you know somebody's going to be firing your horror cannon at you, you want to basically be pretending like you lose control of your province every phase, and you retake it, and then they can't really they can't take stuff with scouts. So yeah. Is there a lot to see? Oh, here's the golem. Oh my goodness! Wait, we didn't see both. Did we?
I think. Yeah, we didn't see the normal phase attack there. Yeah, I think we should just do it from the message feed because I think we got like halfway through, and then we'll duplicate more easily.
This looks kind of cool.
That one is interesting. So they've been using these magics.
These are basically imps.
They're national empty summon with nature gems that are stealthy.
Right.
So he's got them going around with this stealthy magic commander, and you know, having the imps jump on you.
And they're good at killing mages.
Yeah.
Very good at killing pajama men.
Yep.
Was there anything else special about I know these guys make really good patrol chaff when you use them as
they're identical to an imp except maybe aren't stealthy or something. Yeah, it's very similar, certainly. Yeah. So he gets my 6 mages who I moved without the patrol chaff. That's probably a quarter of my blood mages that are freely available. You know, it's a big deal.
It's a big deal.
And you know, it's you know, opportunities to make mistakes. So this one is interesting.
This one?
Yeah, that one. Yeah.
How's this?
We'll see.
Okay, he had a PD dump, I guess.
Yeah, so this is a flaming arrows plus another sort of flaming arrows plus thug party, and you've got 50 PD plus some patrolling giants. And the thing which is cool about it is just seeing how well the Zayden thug ends up working. In the replay, somehow blessing doesn't get cast on him. He's just got bark skin, a horror helmet, and
his
a bunch of
they have really good armor by default though. So yeah.
Exactly. So 25 protection, ethereal, and really high defense. So he's just going to repel all of their stuff, and the horror helmet is synergistic with that because in order to breach repel, you need to make a morale check.
Right, and this just PD, which tends to not have a great morale.
No, there's 10 Gota Huskarls, which are the super elite spear giants there that are not PD.
But
the funny thing is that the PD commander, both of the two Jarls are whole. You know, they've been blessed with fire resistance, and so nobody can kill them because the Zayden has a demon whip which does 1 damage plus like 14 fire damage.
Well, he's got the clay in the the claw and the bite too, but
but they barely beat protection.
Yeah.
So Well, anyway, they stand around there for a long time, getting, sort of just enduring the stuff, and then slowly run off
Does he
getting
make
chased.
it? Oh, okay.
The other one makes it, I think. I think he gets.
Oh man, you're right. They can't kill him.
Yeah, I thought that was fun.
How much PD is this, you think? For 10 Jotun javelinists, I'm guessing
50.
that's
40
50? No.
It's 40. I think it's 40.
That would mean he only gets
It's usually
one for
one
every
for two.
other.
After 20. Yeah, it's usually how it works, right? And then the Huskarls are probably like, 40 times 2 plus 20 times plus 20, like
Okay.
probably you get one different type of Huskarl
Okay.
and a half a Javelist and something like that.
Yeah, these guys didn't do
Um,
shit though. These Huskarls, they threw the javelins. You had Aerofend on yours too, so the javelins didn't do anything. And then they ran.
This is, I don't know. I thought that this was sort of a cool
Yeah.
light squad that you can do with Cold Rhaga.
Yeah, it's really nice if you knew to the PD dump would have Huskarls in it, and that Aerofend would basically neutralize that.
So there's that one. This is the big battle we watched.
Yeah.
With Gath.
Eh.
This is sort of fun. So this is a bump with Atlantis in that underwater province. I'm again using one of these raiding parties with 5 storm demons with a amulet of the dead to give the leadership to take them underwater. And they just, it's really quite close.
Yeah. These guys did not have very good magic resistance. People hating on Liquefy, or like on water magic. Liquefy is one of the best spells in the game. It's so good. Like, it's ridiculously good. And you can use it on land too.
Yeah, so I think in the replay I won, but I lost in the actual battle. I think my guys ran.
Yeah.
At the end.
Vampire Lord, we know how that works. Lord. It's not very.
That's a body ethereal Saren Thug, fully geared.
Okay.
Yeah, I think those are all the cool ones.
Okay. So I think we end this episode here. We're at 50 minutes.
Yeah. I think this is a good stopping point.
And then I guess when we come in next time, we can kind of just watch the push for the thrones and go.
The push for the thrones.
Fast.
There's
right.
I think it should go pretty fast. I think that there's definitely some sort of cool counter raiding with Gath over the next few turns that I think will be fun to look through. And it's actually more interesting, I think, than the big army fights, just because. In some sense, Gath's ability to field big armies is a lot worse. Though he does still have one major army standing.
Yeah. Okay. Well, where's his big army standing? This one on this fort?
Yeah.
I mean, but this is the big army?
Oh, like it's 100 sacreds. He's got more in the capital, and
he's done, dude. That's not I'm all about like hyping this up. It's over, man.
Oh, look, yeah. But I think it, but I think it's over in more part because of the research. Like, what he can do is consolidate that army and bring like 50 mages if he wants to, and put up one more fight, and he will in fact do that.
Yeah, but I mean, it's also over like at some level you need like a critical mass of troops so that your like high value troops don't get overwhelmed by mages, right? But like you have enough stuff and enough mages, like 90 sacreds isn't a thing. You just are going to chop them up. So it's kind of like this battle where he lost, like he brought some mages, but he brought a lot of troops. I mean, kind of what we see is like textbook splitting your enemy in the face, or splitting your army in the face of the enemy, right? So he split the army, and then as a secondary thing, there's 10 mages in here. Like, he is completely all in. If he loses this battle, which he did, he's out of the game, right? It's just over, right? So when you're in a position like this where you're going to lose the game if the army dies, you don't need like 100 more research in this fort. Like bring all the mages.
And I will note, actually, he didn't split the army. The armies came from different places. Like one came from that forest to the northwest. They could not combine directly. Okay. So I think, trying to move to a position where you can combine.
Wait, what was here?
That's just those are two.
That was a retreat. That was a retreat. Okay.
Yeah. So
wait, this is literally everything. I thought he had more stuff. Okay, here's 300.
Yeah, it's 300. It's possible he had some army size bluffing items, but my guess is just it was a high scout report.
Okay.
The previous turn, I think it looked more like 400 or 500 than 300 then.
Yeah, and I mean, to Gath's credit too, he had just finished this war with Ulm, which had taken forever. And he basically, as soon as that war was over, he started mobilizing to come fight you. So you know, it can be hard after that, especially if you lost a lot of mages in that war, to actually get all the mages back to this front. And you certainly
Yeah.
may not want to, right? Because like as Gath, you might be like, hey, we need a blood economy, right? So let's have mages
Yeah.
out like doing that thing. But like if they're doing that thing, they're not with the army, and then if they're not with the army, you lose. So
Yeah, and I think like he was the first to be like, dude, I have to mobilize and attack Rhaga because it's going to be out of control if we
yeah,
don't hit him in time. And I think we didn't like. I had a little bit more scouting the previous turn. He has his cap circle is surrounded with blood hunting parties that are pretty defensive. I
right.
think I lose. That might be a Scaly Scam spout or something. I don't know, but he's defending the border. Like the
Yeah.
rating is
It's
well
intense.
played.
Yeah. Yeah.
He hit. Like if you look at it, he hit basically every province on my side
Right.
of the border and defended basically every province on his side. You see those cubes,
Yeah.
like.
I think another way to maybe think about it too is like the farther you're behind in research, and do we have that? Do we know those graphs?
We do not. We only have the mundane.
And what's your research per turn? It's turn. You're at 1,000. Oh, but you're mobilizing. You were probably at 2,000 for a while, right?
I was at 3,500, I
Yeah,
think,
okay.
at peak. I have mobilized,
Yeah.
because if you in this turn you can see, like if you look at the sort of thrones,
Yeah.
there's an indie throne that I'm putting like a whole huge mage core next to. In the Zabalba region, I'm mobilizing an army next to one of Atlantis' thrones.
Right.
I think I'm mobilizing another army to fly on top of one of Patala's thrones. Anyway, it is definitely I'm going to try and take.
Yeah.
I have 4 thrones. I'm going to try to take all 4 thrones that are near me.
Right.
So research has really plummeted.
Right.
And it means I won't have Army of Gold, I think, for this next turn.
Right. You shouldn't need it though.
And I think actually it is worth talking about that one of the things that was really hard scripting without Army of Gold was, doing Firestorm with a bunch of my Arya Seraphs, which are unsacred mages without any built-in fire resistance. So, the fire randoms, I would do protection from fire, and that plus the whole army buff gets you to 15, and they're going to be good. But for a lot of the other ones, I was trying to place them where I could get Marble Warriors on them, or anyway, a lot of my scripting attention was on trying to figure out how to do Firestorm without burning out my Thunder batteries.
The kind of broad point I was going to make though was like, if you're behind in research, which we can speculate at this point that Gath was very behind, like probably at a minimum 40% behind you, or at a minimum 30, but my guess would be closer to 50 or 45.
I mean, we did not see Alteration 8, which you would sort of expect to be a major target for them.
Right. The farther you're behind in research, the more you need to like win a decisive army battle, you have to commit more. Right? So it's just another reason why like thinking you're gonna, he's doing or she is doing the best they can, right, to win it. But like against the good player, you're gonna go roll up and attack them, and you have a major research disadvantage. You need to be compensating by like, so you're not going to have better buffs, right? So you have to compensate either with overwhelming troop numbers or overwhelming mage support to make up for or it could be overwhelming troop quality, but that's really hard to do in the late game. Like,
just relying on I think your options are either that or, trying to not take a big fight, and sort of use your horrors and disease demons and other sort of stuff to, while you raid around the big stuff. Because a lot of the raiding fights, the extra research doesn't help that much.
That's a really good point. Yeah.
So, if you need to stall, try to not lose your army, keep it, keep it hidden, keep them guessing, maybe, I build have a big defense on this thing and you push your army forward towards some other fort, and, dodge and so on. So.
All right. Well, thank you for sharing more of this through with us. And we probably got 1 or 2 more episodes left. I think maybe next one we go through the rest of the turns to what must be an inevitable win now. And then we can do like a kind of after action review where we kind of get your lesson learned and thoughts and all that.
I think it'll be fun. One of the things we talked about at the beginning is the sort of pretender design and, to what extent I use the various features that I had in my pretender design here. And
that'll be fun.
I might provide some thoughts on, if somebody else is playing Cold Rhaga, how to, just think about the trade-offs between your different options.
Okay. Well, cool, man. Thanks for joining. And all the viewers out there, thank you guys for watching.
Bye all.
See you.